start with a quick opening statement, and then just we have the mic, so we'll just pass that around. So, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, Northern Colorado's got a really good team. Man, they're a hard team to defend. They can score in a lot of different ways. I thought their pace was really good. Starting the game, we started slow. And I think my favorite part of this game was starting the second half. We challenged our group to be better defensively. And I thought we started the second half like 1 for 7. They were 1 for 7 from the field, and we were just more connected and more competitive on some ball screen scenarios. Got a great lift off the bench from Kevin Overton and Christian Anderson. Those two guys were tremendous. I thought their lift really changed the game and broke the game open. And that's the awesome part about depth. And I think the strength of this team is we can score on different nights. And KO hadn't shot it well in the last couple weeks, but man, he's worked and he's been consistent in his work habits, and that always proves fruitful. And so, man, we had a lot of stretches where we weren't very good, but I thought Darian Williams' consistency and JT Toppin, even though his shots weren't going in, I loved his competitiveness on the glass. I thought his effort was tremendous down there. And, man, I'm really excited to get this team working. It was great to have EY back out there. I thought he gave us some solid minutes at the end. And obviously Federico keeps getting better, and more minutes he plays, the better he'll get.
Coach, I'm curious about what you thought about what Kevin was able to do tonight, because it seemed like he was really in a flow state offensively from deep, and I thought he guarded the ball pretty well. I'm just curious about just your overall thoughts on the lift that he was able to give y'all.
Yeah, he's going to grow into a role that I think is going to be a guy that's got a chance to be one of the most impactful players on our roster. There's a consistency that goes with it every night that I think he's learning. And at this level, there's a lot of different ways that you can impact winning, and just got to find that balance of when maybe Chance's night and maybe Kerwin's night and maybe Christian's night, maybe KO's night. And tonight, I loved the way our team kept giving him opportunities, and it felt like he was taking advantage of it. But really, his defense in the first half was really solid, and that's where he can really help this team.
Coach, you've talked about guarding the perimeter. Obviously, you're able to hold them to shooting, I believe it was 23. So I guess just what do you think about the results you were able to get there tonight?
Yeah, that's been our negative through these first few games is when we play good teams that can make open threes, their best players have made threes, and we've got to eliminate that. And I thought there was a concerted effort for that to happen tonight. Obviously, Block got his, but it felt like he got one in the first half off a stagger and then got another one on the baseline in the same action. But we made it difficult on him. Hawthorne's been one of their best scorers. Langston's been one of their best scorers, and I felt like they had to earn it with a lot of different ways. And when you can limit a team from making threes, it really puts you in a good position. And, a couple of those were in the last few minutes of the game, which we've been consistent, unfortunately, in doing that. With 4 minutes to go, we've given up the most threes at home. But, this team, I thought, took the urgency that we needed defensively on the perimeter and got better.
A couple of games ago, you mentioned the need to get to the foul line a lot more. The points in the paint look weird, but obviously you had more free throws there. Do you think there's a difference between you guys aggressive going to the hole and looking to score and getting the foul, or between just driving, hoping to get fouled and throwing up something?
No question. I mean, it's obvious the difference when somebody's hunting a foul and someone's putting 2 feet in the paint, trying to go score with the purpose, and then you get fouled. And we've navigated in between those two things, and I thought KO's attack early kind of started that. But don't underestimate the gravity that JT has on people. And I don't know what the number is, but he ended up drawing 6 fouls. D5 ended up drawing 5 of them. So those two guys really, that inside out, even though, JT didn't score a lot, man, I thought his attention down there really, was the core to us getting to the free throw line. And then Chance driving to the basket was good. KO got to the free throw line. And it's one thing to get there. It's another thing to take advantage and to go 24 for 26 to make more free throws than the other team attempts. That's a good sign.
It was obviously going to happen at some point, but defense are drawn into JT a little bit more when he gets it on the block there. 5 turnovers tonight. What's kind of the adjustment on that you take the next step to elevate the offense around that?
Yeah, weirdly enough, you would think they were on post, but they were actually on short rolls, and they got us a couple times in rotations. And then a couple of them, I think it's just he got a rebound and got some loose balls, and then they knock it out of his hand, in there. So I don't know if all 5 of them are like him getting double teamed in the post. It was more making reads on short rolls. And I love this about JT because he comes to those timeouts and he looks at you with the intent that he wants to learn. And he says, man, I'm playing terrible. It's my bad. I mean, he does really care about this team. And that's that heart. He'll always get better. I mean, in games like this where you start to press a little bit, you could tell, I think he pressed and made a little quicker decision than he needed to, maybe to try to make something happen. And that's where his experience will learn to be more composed and be more patient and let the defense kind of show its hand and then make the right read and be aggressive. And he'll get better at it because he wants to.
And when you bring guys in, there's always this conversation of what you want from them, what they're looking for, their role on the team. Was there ever a conversation you kind of had to have with Kevin, like, hey, you might not be starting, but your role is going to be just as impactful coming off the bench like this?
Yeah, I actually talked to him a lot about just his impact on the team. And I love this about him, like today in shoot around, we talked about like what his role is with this team before practice for a few minutes. And he said, Coach, I got your back, and I love that about him. Now, is it easy to do? No, but it's something that I feel like he's seeing the need for and embracing. But let's be honest, I mean, he played the second most minutes on the team, or third tonight, but behind D5 and Chance and then him. So anytime you're going to play a majority of the minutes, I don't think anybody's going to complain about when they're playing. And he's one of those guys that I think is embracing it and really stepping up and playing well.
Could you just talk about Toppin's effort on the glass, particularly in the second half? You briefly mentioned this, but, I mean, shots aren't falling. You're up by 20, 30 points, and yet he's still just out working people for a lot of those boards.
You never know how people are going to respond when things don't go well. And there was nobody more upset after our St. Joe's loss than JT Toppin. I mean, you could tell it really bothered him. And at halftime, when I walked out with him, he bumped knees in practice, and so he wasn't 100%. And he was just like, man, I'm playing terrible. I said, no, you're not, man. I mean, like, you're impacting. I thought it was one of his best defensive efforts. I thought he was pretty scrappy defensively at the rim. He made a couple of one-on-one defensive moves that he fouled and left his feet, but he also made a couple where I thought he kept scrapping and he stood his ground and then did a good job of walling up. And, we just got to keep growing him. And I just want him to hear that sometimes your basketball won't go in, but your effort and your competitiveness will allow our team to win because we got enough offensive talent playing around him, and it may not be your opportunity, but I love the effort he had. I thought it was tremendous. And for the ball not to go in and for him to still play that hard with the score like that says a lot about his character and who he is as a player.
Your free throw shooting coach, is he going to get a raise anytime soon? I mean, last year set a school record for free throw shooting percentage, and after tonight, you've got to be on track for something like that again, like 92%. That's pretty good. Yeah,
no, the key to it is to recruit guys that can shoot free throws. Let's start with that. And we just got a great staff. But our guys work. They work. They're diligent in this. And that's the part that it's fun to see it under the lights, but the everyday work that these guys put in, they're in here all the time. They're in the gym. They're working on their game. They're getting shots up, and they're consistent in it, and they take it extremely serious. And that's what I love about this group, and that's why I feel like our ceiling's so high. And we do have a tremendous staff that works every day with them individually. We don't put it off on students. I mean, we work with them ourselves as staff, and I can't say enough great things about our staff and how hard these guys work.
And finally, just could you talk a little bit about, it looked like particularly in the first half, there was a lot of perimeter double teams from those guys, and yet you were really sharing the ball and moving around, and you basically torched that stuff, and you didn't see a lot of perimeter doubles in the second half.
Yeah, and that's let's give our guys credit on spacing. There's two components to this that are really important. One is spacing and making sure that you understand where people are supposed to be, and we're still making a lot of mistakes, to be honest, but I think our staff's done a tremendous job of helping guys get that spacing which allows you to put your best players in positions where they can make plays. And then 2, I do think our team believes the more we can move the basketball, the better we are. There's fatigue that's set in a few times. I stuck with lineups a little bit, but I think anytime you can have this kind of spread in your minutes played and you can keep limited numbers under 30, over 30 minutes where you don't have a lot of guys doing that, I think you get the best of both ends, and you can see the ball get shared when we're fresh. And man, I do appreciate our unselfishness and our willingness to share the ball, especially in the first half. Hey, thank y'all.